small cap fund, and what can you say about this scheme, right? They have had to restrict inflows now because of the kind of interest that people had. What do you have to say about this one?
Nippon Small Cap, I mean, for a small cap fund, it is not at all small. It's a huge AUM. It's like a 60,000 plus crore AUM, Alex. And this was only about 8,000 crores in 2019. So look at the way it's grown in these 5 years, just the way, the Parag Parikh, it's been an exponential growth for these schemes, actually. And this fund was launched back in 2010 when Mr. Sunil Singhania was managing it. And of course, he has his own PMS now. And it's been managed by Mr. Samir Rach since 2017. So fairly large innings that he's had managing this fund, especially during the corrections that we saw in the small cap space in 17, 18. So they've been tough years in the small caps. And the benchmark is Nifty, of course, the small cap 250 index. Again, they are very, because there was a shift from Reliance to Nippon as Nippon came in. And I think the focus has been so much on risk management since then. Of course, the fund size has gone up, and so has the number of stocks, Alex. But they have a mandate to restrict the highest allocation to around 4%. Currently, the highest allocation to one stock is under 2%, which is interesting. And of course, it's a superbly diversified portfolio of almost 250 stocks, and yet they've managed to deliver the returns. And I think that is something that we really need to give credit for. But they are maintaining the liquidity with holding large caps. So they are not taking too many cash calls. The liquidity is maintained with the large cap exposure in the scheme. And I think what is interesting is that they have been able to remain agile despite a large AUM. So they have been agile in terms of the sectoral calls and the stock movement that they want to take. And again, very sound returns, 3-year rolling returns over a 10-year period at 26.35, which is the highest over this time period. And the 10-year XIRR, the SIP returns are at, again, 26.33. So wonderful performance by the fund. And I think it'll be interesting to see that now with such a huge AUM, how does the fund perform going forward? And because you mentioned the restriction, Alex, it's about 50,000 rupees per fund, like on a daily basis through an STP or an SIP. But on a monthly basis, it's a restriction of 11.5 lakhs. That's what the maximum can be invested per fund for a person.
Which is something to bear in mind. And of course, flexibility and nimbleness comes into play, particularly in the small cap space, because ultimately they're investing in stocks that have relatively lower free float, which is always a bit of a concern, right? But Prableen, thanks so much for joining in, for going to the key details of all of these schemes. These are household names, as we said at the start, and I'm sure a lot of our viewers have benefited from this conversation.